Courage. Courage is a small light in the darkest hour, a light that lets each one of us reclaim our humanity. Courage does not hate, it does not hurt, and it is never silent. Courage answers with empathy, with hope, and above all, with justice. Courage stems from what makes us human, our love and our care for the days to come. Tonight, we honor 3 women of exceptional courage: Ana Paula Gomes de Oliveira, Sadia Mosba, Aloykin Praise Apology. Their stories may feel unimaginable, and yet they rise. And in rising, they uplift whole communities towards a more hopeful future. At a time when human rights are under strain, when fear, hate, and division fill our public spaces, these 3 women remind us that we can always choose courage. That even when it feels too late, it is never too late to speak the truth. Excellencies, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Ambassador, Consulate, and dear guests, welcome to the 31st edition of the Martin Ennals Award. Tonight's laureate, Ana Paula Gomes de Oliveira, lost her son, killed by a policeman in Rio de Janeiro. And from a pain and a grief that no parent should experience, she found strength. And she also found that she was not alone. Together with other Black mothers, she built a community. She built a movement demanding justice, a movement insisting that every child's life has value, and a movement hoping that one day in Brazil, systemic racism and police violence will no longer be part of daily life. At just 26, Aloykin Praise Apology is already one of Uganda's most powerful young voices. She's a human rights defender, she's a student, and she's also a single mother. Aloykin witnessed many inequalities around her, like girls being pushed out of schools, families unable to access medical care, and corruption poisoning her community. And instead of accepting it, she spoke up. She started a movement through social media and peaceful protests. And she mobilized thousands of young Ugandans. She asks for dignity, she asks for accountability, and she asks for justice. And people listen. Aloykin's already been imprisoned 3 times, yet she cannot be silenced. She leads the We the People movement, and she teaches young Ugandans about their civil rights. Sadia Mosba has spent her life fighting against racism. As a Black Tunisian woman herself, she has paid the consequences more than once, yet she does not let it define her. Sadia has founded Mnemti, My Dream in Arabic. It is a leading organization fighting discrimination and racism in Tunisia. Sadia has confronted her own country with its own history of racism. She has led national movements. She has managed to establish a groundbreaking law, anti-racism law, in 2018. She challenges stereotypes, and above all, she defends the rights of Black Tunisians and sub-Saharan migrants. For her work, she pays the price. So tonight, let us honor her, let us send her strength, and remember that even from her cell, she inspires a more equal future and a more human world. Thank you very much. And so, to begin, I'd like to invite to the stage the person who carries now the legacy of the Martin Ennals Award, the chair of the foundation, Myrène Bengoa.
Dear guests, I shall take a few moments to honor the wonderful laureates and nominees, and I will switch to French because I want to honor our host city, Geneva, as well. Mesdames, Messieurs, chers amis,
ladies and gentlemen, dear friends,
chère Ana Paula,
dear Ana Paula,
ce soir,
this
alors que
evening,
nous honorons les
as
défenseurs des
we
droits humains
celebrate
exceptionnels,
outstanding
nous savons
human
tous
rights
que les
defenders,
droits humains se
we
trouvent
all
à un
know
moment
that
charnière.
human rights are at a turning point,
Partout dans le
at a
monde,
crossroads.
Des femmes et des
Everywhere in the
hommes
world,
se lèvent pour
men and
revendiquer la
women rise
dignité,
to reclaim their
l'égalité
dignity,
et la justice.
equality, and justice.
Leur courage
Their
nous montre la
courage
voie.
paved the way for us.
Souvent, dans des contextes
Often
où même
in
parler,
contextes where
dénoncer ou
speaking,
simplement exister
calling out or simply
librement
existing
comporte des
freely
risques immenses.
is a risk in and of itself.
Dans le même temps, ces droits
At
fondamentaux
the
sont
same time,
menacés comme
these fundamental
rarement
rights
auparavant.
are threatened
Les
like
conflits
never
se
before.
multiplient,
Conflicts
les
are
attaques contre la
multiplying,
société civile
attacks
se
against
coordonnent,
civil society
les
are
contre-pouvoirs
coordinating,
s'affaiblissent.
checks and balances are
Ces tendances
weakening.
ne sont pas lointaines, elles touchent
This is
toutes
not
les
a
régions du
remote
monde,
phenomenon.
y
It
compris les
affects all
sociétés
regions in the world,
démocratiques qui
including
pensaient être à l'abri.
democratic countries that everybody
Et
thought
pourtant,
were
malgré
safe
tout cela,
havens. Yet,
la flamme de la
despite all
liberté
of this, the
continue de
flame of
brûler.
liberty continues to
Non
burn.
pas parce que des
Not
institutions
because
seules les protègent,
institutions
mais parce que
protect
des
it,
personnes,
but because
souvent
people,
isolées,
often in
souvent en
isolation,
danger,
often in danger,
refusent de l'abandonner.
refuse to give up on it.
Ce sont elles qui nous inspirent
These
ce
are the
soir.
people who inspire
Ce
us
sont elles
tonight.
qui donnent un
These
sens
are the
à notre
people
mission.
who give meaning
Car
to our
depuis
mission.
30 ans, déjà, ce
For
but,
the
ce
past
but que
30
ce prix
years
s'est
now,
donné,
the
il est clair.
purpose of this
Il
award
s'agit
and
de
its foundation
protéger,
is clear.
d'amplifier
It is
et de
protect,
relier.
amplify,
Protéger qui?
and
Les défenseurs et
protect
défenseurs
who?
des droits humains.
Protect human rights
Amplifier
defenders,
leur voix, ici même à
amplify
Genève,
their
capitale
voices
mondiale
here in
des
Geneva,
droits
the
humains et
world
de la
capital of
démocratie,
human rights and
et les
democracy,
relier par le fil que nous
and
composons tous, vous et
bridge
moi,
them
ici, ainsi que ceux qui
by
nous
the
suivent
bond
à distance.
we all here constitute.
En tant que nouvelle présidente du
As
Conseil
the new
de la Fondation
chairperson
Martin
of
Ennals,
the Martin
je veux
Ennals
aussi vous parler
Foundation
avec
Board,
sincérité de notre
I can
propre
also speak
réalité.
very openly
Les
of our
organisations de
reality.
défense des droits humains
Organizations that
partout,
defend
ici et dans le
human
monde
rights all over the
font
world
face à une crise
are
financière sans
facing a
précédent
deep financial
qui se traduit par
crisis
la baisse
like
de
never
financement
before,
mais aussi de soutien,
with decreasing
à la fois
funding,
subissant dans certains
weakened
contextes des
support,
pressions politiques pour
and heightened
fermer,
political
voire
pressure
disparaître.
to shut down
La
or
Fondation
even
Martin Ennals
sometimes
n'échappe pas à ces
disappear.
défis.
The Martin
Notre
Ennals
équipe travaille
Foundation
avec
is not an
détermination,
exception.
parfois
Our
même
team is
avec des
working with
ressources
determination,
limitées, mais
sometimes even
toujours
with limited
un engagement
resources,
total.
but always with
Et en
total
partenariat avec
commitment
les
and
10
in partnership
organisations
with
membres
the
du
10
jury que je salue
organizations
ce soir
that are jury
et qui
members
sont la
and that
clé
I would like
de
to
la
recognize
crédibilité de
this
ce
evening.
prix
They are
de par
key
leur
for the
indépendance.
credibility of this award because of their
Aujourd'hui, nous
independence.
sommes là réunis pour
We are
honorer Madame
here
Ana Paula
gathered
Gomes,
tonight to honor
qui
Ana Paula
incarne
Gomes,
et représente
who
la
is the
force des
epitome
mères
and the
brésiliennes
embodiment of the
face
strength
à la violence
displayed by
policière.
Brazilian mothers in the face
Avec
of
son
police
engagement,
violence.
ce sont toutes les violences qui sont
Her
dénoncées.
commitment calls out all
Celles qui
types of
atteignent les
violence,
familles,
those that
celles
affect
qui
families,
brisent la vie des femmes
those that
et
destroy
les
women's
injustices
lives,
sociales qui sous-tendent la
as well
perpétuation
as
de
the
ces
underlying
risques-là.
social injustices
Et je
which
tiens à ce moment
perpetuate
précis
this
à
violence.
exprimer notre
At this
profonde
moment in
gratitude
time,
aux autorités
I would be
de la
remiss
ville de
if I
Genève,
did
du
not
canton de
express
Genève
my
et de
most
la
sincere
Confédération
gratitude
suisse
to the authorities of the
depuis
City of
toujours
Geneva, the Canton
nous
of
apportent
Geneva,
un soutien
and the
constant
Swiss
et ont fait
Confederation
de Genève non seulement
for their
un lieu
unwavering
d'accueil,
support
mais un
that has turned
véritable
Geneva
foyer
into a hospital
pour les
place and a
défenseurs et
real home
défenseuses
for
des droits
human
humains.
rights defenders.
Leur engagement en faveur du droit
Their
international,
commitment
du
towards
dialogue entre les
international law,
cultures et de la
intercultural
protection
dialogue,
des voix
and the
menacées
protection of
permettent
voices
à ce
under
prix
threat
et à tant d'autres
makes it
initiatives
possible for this award
d'exister
and many other
et de
initiatives
rayonner.
to exist and to
Mais si le
thrive.
contexte est difficile, nous ne perdons pas
Despite
espoir.
the challenging
Nous
situation,
savons
we
que
still
les droits
remain
humains ne
hopeful.
peuvent être
We
défendus
know
seuls.
that there isn't a
Nous
single
avons besoin,
entity able to defend
aussi
human
pour cette
rights on
raison
its
que nous nous
own.
réunissons, Nous avons besoin
need,
d'une
and this is the
alliance
reason why we are
large,
meeting, we
qui
need a
recouvre
broad
les institutions
alliance
publiques,
that
les
covers public
entreprises responsables,
institutions,
les universités,
responsible
les
businesses,
médias, les
universities,
citoyens et
media,
bien sûr les communautés
citizens,
locales concernées.
and, of course,
C'est ensemble et
affected local
vraiment
communities.
ensemble que
It
nous
is
pourrons
only by
replacer
coming together,
les droits
truly
humains
together, that
au
we
cœur
will be
de la
able to
conscience
place
publique.
human rights at the heart,
C'est un acte
at the
de
center
tous
of
les jours.
people's minds.
Et non seulement
This should be
lors
the
de grandes
case
cérémonies.
on a daily basis, and not
Ce soir,
only
nous
during major
réaffirmons cette
ceremonies.
conviction.
This evening,
Et à
I would like
travers
to
ce prix,
reassert this strong
nous
belief.
nous tenons nous-mêmes
And
aux
through this
côtés des
award,
défenseurs
we
avec
are
humilité
side
et
by side with
détermination.
human rights defenders with both humility and
Merci aux lauréats
determination.
et aux lauréats
Thanks
pour
to the
leur
winner and
courage.
finalists for their
Merci
courage.
aux membres du jury,
Thanks
aux
to the members of the
partenaires
jury,
et à tous
to our
ceux et
partners,
celles qui
and
rendent ce
to
prix
all
possible.
those who have made this award
Ensemble,
possible.
nous résistons
Together,
aux tentatives
we
de
rise
réduire
up
les
against
défenseurs au silence.
all attempts at silencing
C'est leur
human rights
voix que nous
defenders.
écoutons
It is
aujourd'hui.
their voices that we are
Et
listening
tout en
here
vous
today.
remerciant, je vous encourage à
I'd
faire
like to
vibrer
thank
autour
you,
de vous ces
and
convictions,
at the same time, I
car
encourage
chaque
you to make these
voix
principles resonate, because
Merci beaucoup.
each voice counts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miren. For those of you who don't know her, Ana Paula is already a very well-known activist in Brazil. She has worked with Amnesty International, she has worked with the UN, but I think that words can only take us so far. And so I invite you to watch a film on her life and her work, but also on the mothers in Brazil, in the favelas, who are fighting for the rights of their children.
Meu filho foi morto! Eu nunca pensei que o Estado fosse atirar numa criança uniformizado com a roupa da escola. Que Estado é esse? Que é a farda do futuro do amanhã. Eu chego aqui cansada, adoecida, porque esse país não nos serve pra nada!
Nossos filhos não vão voltar. Isso dói quando eu falo, sabe? A gente luta, a gente busca essa justiça, né? Como um mínimo de resposta para nós que já perdemos, mas como um meio de reparação mesmo, né? E de que não aconteça. O Jonathan foi baleado. Meu filho era cheio de vida. Ainda hoje é difícil se referir a ele como alguém morto. Mas eu sinto muito a presença dele na minha vida. E cada vez que eu visto essa camisa, cada vez que eu tô num ato, em prol da vida, né? De garantir a vida de outras pessoas, é ele que me dá força, né? Eu cresci vendo a abordagem violenta da polícia. Sempre foi assim. Uma bala que atinge todo mundo. Atinge uma favela, atinge uma comunidade. Mas eu nunca vi de verdade o Estado entrar para trazer benefícios, né? Sempre foi o Estado da forma mais violenta que se apresenta dentro das favelas.
Hoje eles querem gratificar o policial que matar dentro da favela. poder entrar lá, matar e receber 150%. Não há gratificação! Não há gratificação! Não há gratificação!
A luta das mães ela é importante, não é só para as mães. A luta das mães aqui no Brasil ela é importante porque ela tem a capacidade de transformar a nossa sociedade. Nós estamos falando de mulheres que estão transformando a dor em luta política, luta social para alterar essa realidade. Tem procuradores da República em todos os estados do Brasil. E tem um procurador da República aqui no Rio de Janeiro. Ele falou, olha, o trabalho de vocês é tão importante que eu vou com vocês defender junto com vocês o que vocês estiverem defendendo. Então, isso também é uma conquista de vocês. Porque quando ele veio, ele sentiu a força de vocês, ele agora vai nos reforçar também.
Eu acho que passou da hora, de verdade, da gente tomar autonomia sobre as nossas vidas. Perder um filho, para quem perdeu, sabe muito bem o que eu estou falando. Porque só nós sabemos o que é de madrugada. Que eu não quero que outra mulher preta tenha a mesma dor que eu tenho. Você sabe o que eu não posso deixar de ser? Defensora de direitos humanos. Isso nunca vou deixar de ser. Nunca!
Então, eles têm essa narrativa de que vai combater bandido. Nós somos potência, nós somos base dessa sociedade, não se constrói nada sem esse povo, mas eles seguem querendo nos reduzir.
Eu tive que provar que meu filho era só um menino, né, de 13 anos, que tinha uma frequência escolar. Eles mataram o sonho do meu filho, né? Entendeu? Eu queria ver ele sendo escolhido para ser um jogador de futebol, né? Porque ele tinha potencial, ele se dedicava a isso. Era o sonho dele. E eles executaram o Thiago, né? Policiais militares. 3 tiros, né? Pegaram no Thiago. E essas mães, né, que me acolheram, elas me fortaleceram, né? Desde esse dia, né, eu venho lutando por justiça.
Nós tivemos nossos filhos assassinados pelo braço armado do Estado. E a gente está aqui para dizer que a gente não aceita isso e que a gente vai lutar. Enquanto policiais assassinam nossos filhos e seguem impunes, seguem soltos com a certeza da impunidade.
Depois que mataram meu filho, eu perdi emprego, perdi marido, perdi minha saúde, perdi a casa que eu morava. Saí para lutar com as minhas amigas, minhas irmãs, minhas companheiras. Eu vou sempre estar pelo carinho, pelo abraço, que era isso que eu estava precisando muito.
Que é um ser que viveu dentro da gente, né? É uma força que nos move, que vem de dentro mesmo, né? Que a gente encontra nessa luta uma forma de continuar sendo a mãe deles, né? A gente encontra nessa luta uma forma de continuar exercendo a nossa maternidade, e isso ninguém pode tirar. Gosto muito dessa foto, né? Porque ele tá com um sorrisão, assim, O Jonathan era esse. O Jonathan só vivia sorrindo.
Wow. I think these images really remind us of why it's so significant to uphold human rights in every government, in every institution. And I'd like to invite to the stage a man who carries the responsibility of this job every day, the Human Rights Commissioner, Mr. Volker Türk.
What a moving documentary on Ana Paula's life. Madame Ana Paula, dear friend Hans, Monsieur le Maire, dear colleagues and friends, dear human rights defenders, it's a real privilege to be here with you this evening, and it's so important.
I would also like to first thank the City of Geneva and the organizers of this event. Thank you very much for your support, the support you bring to this ceremony, a prize which is so important for human rights defenders all over the world. Thanks to the jury, who has supported the Martin Ennals Award with such devotion.
For the opportunity to learn about and to stand with human rights champions. In fact, in our line of work, we spend an incredible amount of time and focus on what is going wrong in our world, and there is absolutely no lack of material when it comes to that. But it is also important to celebrate the energy and the positive. And that is what we are doing tonight. We honor the courageous, we recognize the fruits of their work, and in doing so we are energized to continue our efforts with commitment and creativity. Because despite everything we may see and hear, human rights are an incredible success story. Over recent decades, we have seen important progress across human rights. Poverty has halved since 2000. Hunger rates have also fallen. More children, especially girls, are at school. Maternal mortality has been reduced by 40% in the past 25 years. More women have access to opportunities in education and employment. And there are global standards that govern everything from prison conditions to decent employment. We have seen the adoption of very important legal conventions at the regional and the global level that range from issues from human trafficking to pollution and cybercrime. This is a reality that is often forgotten or even denied. Human rights are one of the most popular ideas in the world. Convincing people that human rights aren't in their interest must be one of the greatest con tricks in history. And we will not let it pass. The evidence is clear, and people confirm it everywhere I go. The world needs more human rights, not less. People reject a world of cruelty, of hate and subjugation. They want equal access to opportunities, they support justice, and they insist on participating in decisions that affect their lives when it comes to health or education, climate action, sustainable development, and economic policy. The so-called Gen Z protests that are taking place across continents, from Peru to Kenya to Madagascar, Nepal, and beyond, show that human rights are universal, and they are unifying. They are the threads holding the social fabric together. They are the principles that inspire us, and they resonate far beyond this room. Dear friends, the winds of division are strong, and you are very familiar with them. There is a deeply troubling erosion of respect for international law. We see how the rules of war are being shredded, with civilians bearing the heaviest toll. And populist leaders use divide and rule tactics, rejecting or co-opting the language of human rights to fuel polarization. And we see how civic space is shrinking. And we see how human rights defenders are targeted for abuse, for harassment, and even worse. According to the data that were gathered by my office, at least 625 human rights defenders and journalists were killed or disappeared last year. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is obviously outrageous and unacceptable. We see how disinformation and hate speech are amplified and turbocharged on social media. We see how climate chaos is exacerbating inequalities, and hard-won gains on women's rights are under threat. And with the deepest funding cuts ever that you have mentioned, we are all asked to do more with less. In fact, the human rights system is in survival mode. So in response, we need to be stronger, stand together, and make common cause. And I have 3 messages to share. First, we must never give up. You may feel like one small voice in the world, but to a person that is targeted or victimized or abused, that voice may mean everything. And our laureate tonight, Ana Paula Gomes de Oliveira, knows this better than most. As the co-founder of a collective of mothers who have lost children and family members to violence in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, Ana Paula has demonstrated what I can only call the greatest of resilience. And she has spoken eloquently of the courage needed for human rights defenders to resist threats, intimidation, and even imprisonment. I also want to acknowledge the 3 finalists for showing remarkable courage in pursuing fundamental rights and freedoms despite intimidation, surveillance, and detention. Mobilizing, advocating, and calling out injustice are never wasted. Justice may take time, but it will come. Second, we need unity and solidarity. Everyone involved in human rights work needs to support each other and form broad coalitions that transcend sectors and regions. Single-issue campaigns can capture the public imagination, but we need to raise our eyes from the horizon and link those campaigns with each other. Attention is the ultimate currency in today's frenetic information environment. So we need strong, clear messages that cut through the noise. And I think just this documentary has proven this, because it shows the resilience, the determination, and the courage of women in these, well, when they actually fight for justice. We need to widen the tent and bring in new allies. Civil society, human rights networks, victims associations, young and indigenous human rights defenders all have an important role to play. And third, we need to be creative in communications. There is, of course, the need to speak with empathy and solidarity that resonate across cultures, across generations, setting aside labels, and tapping into people's core values. And we need to speak also with those who disagree with us, with respect and without alienating them. My office's work with human rights defenders around the world, from conflict zones to courtrooms and prisons, from public meetings to online spaces, is extremely important. Last year alone, we collaborated with more than 30,000 of you to expose violations and to demand accountability. Together, our movement is unstoppable. But we need to strengthen our partnerships to multiply and amplify our impact. In fact, in these difficult times, we need a global alliance for human rights. And we are working to convene a cross-regional coalition of member states, civil society organizations, of academia, of businesses, philanthropists and others to put human rights at the heart of public and political life. We need this kind of movement building on joint initiatives, engaging diverse groups working for common goals, and we will be launching this Global Alliance for Human Rights in the coming months. I hope we can count on your support, and I invite you always to count on ours. Many thanks, obrigado, merci beaucoup.
Thank you, High Commissioner. And so now I'm going to invite Ana Paula to the stage, and His Excellency will be able to give her her prize. I'll invite you to come here. My mic is, okay. So Ana Paula is now going to give us, share a few words. She will speak in Portuguese, so I'll let you put your headphones on. Thank you.
Muito obrigada.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of you who are here today and those
nos acompanhando de forma online.
Who are online.
Gostaria de fazer
I would like to thank
em especial a Fundação Martin Ennals,
the foundation, the Martin Ennals Foundation, for honoring the human rights defenders and to shed light on a work that is so hard. The 10 organizations that are part of the jury, I would also like to thank you.
Eu não poderia deixar de falar aqui
que a
caminho dessa cerimônia eu fui
informada here that while I was en route to here, that a favela in Rio de Janeiro called Complexo da Maré, which is in the northern part of Rio de Janeiro, is undergoing a police operation. Once again, a police operation with people getting injured and killed. So I would like to solidarize, to embrace virtually the families that are the victim of this operation today. It is an honor to receive this award as the mother of Jonathan, a black woman born and raised in the favela of Manguinhos. I was born and raised in the favela Manguinhos, a favela in the northern part of the city of Rio de Janeiro.
Nesses 11 anos,
and this 11 years,
eu precisei transformar a dor da perda do meu filho
transform
em luta.
The pain of losing my son into a fight against the state violence and against racism in Brazil.
Que teima em separar
racism in Brazil and the violence separates black mothers from their children.
Através dos assassinatos,
this could happen through assassination. The separation can happen through the high level of imprisonment of black youth or through forced disappearance after police operations.
Eu recebo hoje, com muita alegria, o Prêmio de Direitos
It
Humanos
is with great joy that I receive the Martin Ennals Award for Defenders of Human Rights. But this award is not only mine. This award belongs to all mothers whose children were assassinated by agents of the Brazilian state.
de dedicar esse prêmio
I would love
com todo o meu amor
to dedicate this award
a duas
from
pessoas muito
all my
especiais
heart to
que
two
hoje não
people
estão aqui
who are very
fisicamente presentes,
special.
mas
And
me
despite not
acompanham
being physically present here
inspiram
today,
a
are
seguir
always by my side
pela
and
força do
inspire
amor
me
que
to
nos
continue.
conecta.
We are connected
Então,
by the power
eu dedico
of love.
esse prêmio
I
ao meu amado
dedicate
filho
this
Jonathan
award to my beloved
e a maior
son,
defensora
Jonathan,
de direitos
and to the
humanos
greatest
que eu
human
conheci
rights
no Brasil,
defender that I have
Marielle
met in
Franco.
Brazil, Marielle Franco.
Falar de Marielle Franco
Talking
me faz
about
lembrar
Marielle
que não foi fácil chegar
reminds
até
me
aqui.
that the path
E que
that
ela,
brought me here
desde o
today
início,
is not
foi
an
uma
easy
das
one.
grandes
And
incentivadoras
she, from
para
the
que eu
start,
estivesse
was
na luta.
one of my inspirations to keep
Falar
on
de Marielle
fighting.
Franco
To talk about
me faz
Marielle
lembrar que o
reminds me
Brasil
that
é o país
Brazil
que mais mata
is the
defensores de
country
direitos humanos.
with the highest
Que
killing
não
rate
tolera
of human rights
mulheres
defenders.
negras
It's a
oriundas
country that
de
does not
favelas
tolerate
que
black
ousam
women from the
levantar a
favelas
voz
who dare
para
raise their
denunciar
voices
as
to
violências
report
e as violações
human
de
rights
direitos humanos.
violations and violence.
Eu desejo que esse
I
prêmio
wish
dê
that
visibilidade
this award
para a
sheds
gravidade
some light
da alta
on the
letalidade
severity of high
do
police
imenso
lethality in Brazil
encarceramento
and
da
about
população
the
negra
imprisonment of the black population.
que acontece no Brasil. E
Imprisonment
que o
that
Estado
happens in Brazil.
brasileiro seja
The Brazilian
responsabilizado
state should
por
be
essas
held
violações de direitos
accountable
humanos.
for these
A
human
cada
rights
ano no Brasil,
violations.
mais
Every
de
year,
6.200
more than
pessoas são
6,200 people
assassinadas
are assassinated
pelas polícias
by
que
police.
deveriam proteger
The
a
police
todos.
who should protect
São
everyone.
17 pessoas
This is
mortas
equivalent
por
to
dia,
killing 17
em sua
people
maioria
every day.
jovens negros
Most of them are
moradores
young,
de favelas
black
e
people
periferias.
who live in the favelas.
82% das vítimas
82%
são
of
negras.
victims are black.
A espera por justiça
Waiting
adoece
for
as mães,
justice makes
afeta a
mothers
saúde
sick.
mental
It
de
affects
muitas
the
de
mental
nós.
health of many of
Essa
us.
luta
This
nos
fight
coloca em
puts
risco todos os
puts
dias,
our lives at risk
mas
every day.
nós não
But we do
permitimos
not
que o
allow
medo nos
fear
paralise.
to paralyze us.
Por isso hoje
This is
eu
why
faço
today
apelo à
I
comunidade
appeal to
internacional,
the international community,
especialmente às Nações
specifically
Unidas,
to the
para
United
se juntar a
Nations.
nós.
Come
Nesses
and join
11
us.
anos, eu tenho
In
dito
these
que
11
essa
years,
luta não
I have
pode
been
ser
saying
somente
this
das mães
fight cannot
que
be a
perdem seus
fight
filhos,
led only
das
by
mães que já
mothers
estão
who
adoecidas
lost their
por
sons,
conta
by
dessa
mothers
violência
who
que nos
are
atinge.
already sick because of the
Essa
violence
luta
that
precisa
affects
ser
us.
de
This
toda
must
a
be a
sociedade.
fight from all of society.
Precisamos que o Estado brasileiro seja pressionado a tomar
pressure
medidas
on the Brazilian
urgentes
state
para
so that it
reduzir
takes
o alto
urgent
índice
measures to
da letalidade
reduce
policial,
police
para que haja reparação imediata
to
às
demand
famílias
immediate
e para que haja
reparation to the families
investigações
and to demand
imparciais,
impartial,
independentes e
independent
efetivas.
and
O
effective
Estado
investigation.
precisa ser responsabilizado em todas
All
as cadeias
levels
de
of the chain
comando.
of command of the Brazilian state
cansadas
must be
de
held
esperar
accountable.
E lutar
We are
por
tired of
justiça.
waiting and
Esse prêmio
fighting for justice.
não ameniza a nossa
This
dor,
award does not
mas dá
ease our pain,
visibilidade e
but it
fortalece o nosso
strengthens
grito.
our cry.
E é através da minha voz
And
que eu
I
honro
use my
a
voice
memória do
to
meu
honor
filho
the
e
memory
de
of
todos
my
os
son
outros filhos
and the
que
memory
perderam
of
suas
all
vidas nas
young
mãos
people
do
who
Estado
lost their
brasileiro.
lives at the hand
Vida
of the
longa
Brazilian
a
state.
todos os defensores
Long
de
live
direitos humanos
all the
do mundo.
defenders of human rights in the
Jonathan
world.
presente,
Jonathan
hoje
is here
e sempre.
today
Muito
and
obrigada.
always. Thank you.
Thank you, Ana Paula.
Sim.
We can really feel the emotion in the room, and I believe your courage that inspires us all. I'm wondering, you talk about the fact that you continue your role as a mother through your fight. How do you find the strength to continue?
Eu encontro forças no amor
I find strength
que me
in
conecta ao
love,
meu filho.
the love that connects
Isso que
me
me
to my son.
faz ter forças nos momentos mais difíceis.
This
Nos
helps me
momentos
in the
em
darkest
que
hours.
Eu penso que não vai dar mais.
Those hours
É
where
ele
I
que me dá
think
força.
I can
É ele
no
que dá
more.
sentido para minha vida.
He gives me strength. He gives sense to my life.
And your strength and that you find in this link, you've actually managed to accomplish many things. Can you tell us a bit about what you have accomplished?
Eu acho que a conquista é ter esse reconhecimento.
Accomplishment is having my fight recognized through this award, for example. It is a fight that is not easy. It is a painful fight. To be able to take my son's case to a jury, to be judged is important, because most cases in Brazil are not trialed. There is not even an investigation. And this impunity is the reason why police keep on killing. So when we are able to have an investigation, to take the case to a jury, this gives hope to other mothers. It makes them believe. But this fight is not over there, because many times when we are there at the Justice Palace, the assassins are spoken free. They leave free. So we need the Brazilian state to be held accountable for killing their children.
I'm wondering, I hope you know that there are many people that are behind you. There are many people from the Black community also that are behind you. And I'm wondering, what are your hopes for this community in Brazil? What are your hopes for their future, for the future of Brazil?
A minha esperança é que
I hope
as políticas públicas
that public policy
mudem, né?
changes.
Que sejam construídas políticas
I
públicas
hope that we
que enxerguem a população
have
negra como
political
pessoas
policies
dignas
that
de direitos.
look at the Black community as people with rights. We built that country. It was the Black people who built that country, and we deserve respect. They should look at us with respect, with dignity. Our children must have the same rights. We need public policies so that our children can have quality education. We need health assistance so that the Black population that works so hard in this country, that this population is given access to culture, to entertainment, and access to development, to occupy public spaces, because we fought very hard for this.
So, on this note, I'd like to invite the Mayor of Geneva, Alfonso Gomes, to greet you and thank you very, very much.
Monsieur le haut-commissaire des Nations Unies aux droits de l'homme, Monsieur l'ambassadeur,
Mr. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me, and it's very difficult for me to be taking the floor in front of you all this evening for the 2025 Martin Ennals Award ceremony. It's very hard to take the floor after this extremely moving testimony. I would, of course, like to first congratulate very sincerely Ms. Ana Paula Gomes de Oliveira on receiving this award, which distinguishes her outstanding fight against police impunity and structural racism in Brazil. I would like to honor her, but I would also like to say thank you. Thank you for fighting the way you do, and thank you for highlighting these issues. Ms. Ana Paula, your convictions and the strength of your commitment make us respect you. Since this terrible day of May 2014, when your beloved son, Jonathan, was killed, you found extraordinary strength to stand up and move on, and you committed yourself to truth, memory, and justice. It is thanks to you that the Mothers of Manguinhos movement was born. In the meantime, it has become a resistance front, but also a network for solidarity between women. We all know that Brazil is one of the most dangerous countries in the world for those who, like you, fight for
pour la
human
dignité
life and
humaine.
dignity.
Et j'espère de
You
tout
said
cœur
this a while ago, and I
ce
do
prix
hope
vous permettra de
my
poursuivre
sincerest
dans
wish
de meilleures conditions
is for this
votre
award to
travail
allow you to
essentiel,
continue in better conditions
fondamental
this
en
critical
faveur des
work
droits
that you
humains
carry out to
des
defend
personnes noires
the human
au
rights
Brésil.
of black people in
Mesdames et
Brazil.
messieurs, le combat
Ladies
de
and gentlemen,
Madame Ana Paula
this
Gomes de
fight
Oliveira
waged by
y
Ana
rappelle de
Paula Gomes
manière
de Oliveira
poignante et très forte
comes
que
to
chaque jour,
remind us
dans l'ombre,
that
des
every
hommes,
day,
des
behind
femmes
the scenes,
au
there are
courage
men and
exemplaire
women who,
s'engagent de
with
toutes leurs
exemplary
forces pour
courage,
protéger
put all their
les droits
strength
humains,
and commitment
nos
into
droits.
protecting human rights, our
Un peu
rights.
partout, ces défenseurs
All
et
over the
défenseuses des
world,
droits fondamentaux
these human rights
non seulement
defenders
dénoncent les abus
speak out
des
against
gouvernements,
abuses committed
des
by
entreprises,
governments or
mais
businesses.
protègent non seulement l'environnement et s'opposent
They also protect the
aux obstacles
environment,
qui empêchent
and
les
they
femmes,
work to overcome
les
the
migrantes,
barriers that prevent
les réfugiés,
women, migrant workers,
LGBTIQ,
refugees or
faibles de nos
LGBTQI+
sociétés
individuals,
de jouir
i.e. the
pleinement
most
de
vulnerable
leurs
in our
droits
societies,
les
to
plus
fully
fondamentaux.
enjoy their fundamental
Depuis
rights.
quelques années, leur action de ces
These past
défenseuses et
few
ces
years,
défenseurs s'inscrivent dans
the
un
activism
contexte
of these
que beaucoup
defenders
n'hésitent plus à définir que comme une crise mondiale
has
des droits humains,
increasingly taken place in a
caractérisée
context
par
that people
une
now don't hesitate
augmentation
to consider
très
as a global
inquiétante
human rights
des
crisis,
pratiques
characterized by a concerning increase
pratiques
in authoritarian
réactionnaires et
practices,
des pratiques
reactionary
fascistes.
practices, or
Dans
fascist
ce cadre,
practices.
les défenseurs et défenseuses des
In
droits
this
humains,
context,
ils courent plus que
human
jamais
rights
aujourd'hui
defenders risk
le
now
risque
more than
d'être
ever
non seulement la cible d'intimidation, de
being the
violence,
target of
de
bullying,
détentions arbitraires,
harassment,
mais pire
abuse,
encore.
arbitrary detention,
Et
and sometimes even
donc
worse
c'est une
than that.
obligation pour nous aujourd'hui.
It is
Nous
therefore
devons
incumbent upon
non
us.
seulement les
We
protéger,
have to
car en les
protect
protégeant, nous
this,
protégeons
to
également
protect
nos
them,
libertés.
because by protecting
Nous
them,
devons
we
également
protect our
protéger
freedom.
leurs défenseurs, leurs avocats,
We need
car en
to
même temps nous
protect
défendons
their
les nôtres.
lawyers,
Nous devons
because that way
nous devons
we
défendre
protect
leur
our
presse
own.
libre,
We need to
car en
protect
même
a
temps,
free
nous
press,
défendons
because
nôtres.
that way we also
Et le prix
defend our
Martin
own.
Ennals, il vise à rappeler cette réalité, à rendre
The
hommage
purpose of the
au
Martin
courage
Ennals
de ces hommes
Award
et de ces
is
femmes.
there to
À travers
remind us
la
of this reality
médiatisation
and
de
to pay
leur
tribute
combat,
to the
c'est
courage of these men
l'équivalent
and
du prix
women by
Nobel
giving
des droits
visibility
humains.
to their
Il
struggles
entend
in the
offrir
media.
une
This
protection
equivalent to the
aux
Nobel
lauréats,
Peace Prize
en particulier
or Nobel
dans leur
Prize
pays
for Human
d'origine.
Rights confers a protection to its
Nous
winners,
sommes
especially in
attachés
their
à ce
home
prix.
country. This
Et
award
la ville de
is
Genève
close to the heart of the
co-organise,
city of
comme cela
Geneva.
a été dit par Madame la
As
Présidente,
was said
la cérémonie
by
depuis
the
plus de
president
15
of the
ans.
foundation, the city of
La ville de
Geneva has
Genève, c'est
co-organized the
l'hôte
award ceremony for
des
more than
principales
15 years
organisations
now. The
internationales
city
qui
of
sont
Geneva
actives
is the host to
dans
the
ce
main
domaine.
international organizations
Elle est
engaged
riche
in the field of human
également
rights.
d'une longue tradition
It
en
has a
matière d'accueil,
long-standing tradition of
mais elle
hospitality,
doit faire, et elle fait la promotion des droits humains,
and it has
l'une de ses
to
priorités dans
prioritize
son action,
the promotion of
et
human
cela tant au
rights,
niveau local
both at
qu'international.
local and at international
Alors,
level. That has to be its
permettez-moi ce
priority.
soir de remercier très
I
chaleureusement
would like to
les
take
membres du jury
the
du prix
opportunity
Martin
of this
Ennals,
evening's ceremony
qui
to
année
thank very
après année
sincerely the members
assument
of
la
the jury of the
délicate
Martin
mission
Ennals Award,
de
who,
faire un
year
choix
after year, have the
parmi
delicate
les
task of
nombreux
choosing
défenseuses et
amongst the
défenseurs des droits
many human
humains
rights
qui ont
defenders
besoin de protection,
in need of
de notre
protection,
protection.
who need our protection.
Ainsi, j'aimerais également remercier la Fondation
I would
Martin Ennals
also like
pour
to
ce
thank
précieux
the
travail
Martin Ennals
effectué
Foundation for
cette
the
année encore.
invaluable work
Et
it has
j'espère
done again
encore
this
pendant
year,
de nombreuses années.
and I hope for many years to come.
J'aimerais également vous remercier, mesdames et messieurs,
My
d'être venus
thanks
ce soir.
also go to all
Votre
of you, ladies and
présence
gentlemen,
constitue
for
la plus
being
belle
so many in
façon de
attendance this
réaffirmer
evening.
notre
It is the
attachement
best way to
à la
reaffirm
dignité
how
humaine
attached we
et à la
are to
justice.
human
Et grâce à
dignity
vous,
and
la
justice.
voix souvent des
Thanks to
sans-voix,
you all,
la voix des
the
droits
voice
humains
of
est
the
forte ce
voiceless,
soir à
the voice
Genève.
of human rights
Espérons,
is
en tout cas,
being heard
travaillerons
loud and clear this
pour
evening
cela,
in Geneva.
qu'elle soit entendue.
Let's hope, and we're
Enfin, à travers la
working
remise de ce
on
prix, je
this,
pense
that
à
it does
toutes
not fall on
les
deaf
militantes
ears.
et surtout à tous les militants
In closing,
des
I
droits humains qui
would like to
sont
thank
aujourd'hui traqués,
have a thought for all
menacés,
human rights defenders who were persecuted, threatened, arrested, or detained, and this across the whole wide world. This evening's ceremony is the opportunity for me to pay tribute to all these unsung heroes.
les accompagne ce soir.
Our thoughts go out to them.
J'aimerais leur dire merci.
But above all, I would like to thank them all.
Pour votre lutte
Thank
pour les
you
droits humains.
for fighting
J'aimerais vous dire
for
merci
human
de
rights.
maintenir
I
cette lumière
would
d'espoir
like
dans ce monde qui
to
en a bien
ask you to
besoin.
maintain this glimmer of
Merci
hope
encore.
in this world that
Et,
really
je
needs
vous
it.
souhaite
Thank
une
you
bonne
very
soirée.
much
Merci.
and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. So thank you, Mayor. I'd like to welcome to the stage a special person, because I think what makes the Martin Ennals Award so special is that the award is not decided by one institution, but by a collective. And tonight we have the person who is in charge of that collective, the head of our jury, Mr. Hans Thulen.
Good evening. Dear Ana Paula Gomes, dear namesake, Mayor of Geneva, dear Volker Türk, thank you for coming again. And all of you friends, thank you, thank you. 31 years I have been intimately involved in the Martin Ennals Award. First as volunteer and founder, then as president and as secretary, and the last 11 years I was the chair of the jury. However much I've enjoyed it, there comes a time that you have to say farewell, that is today. Time for a younger generation means nothing, because almost everybody in the room is younger than me. Most of you know that the MA is going through a rough patch today, but then all is relative. The first years of the Martin Ennals Award, we had no staff, no foundation, no money. Some laureates didn't get any money. Still, I think that with the help of the Ville de Geneva and other donors, I think that the Martin Ennals Award can flourish again and continue its very important function of defending human rights defenders. I will continue to work for the MEA one way or another, if only through the Geneva-based True Heroes films that made tonight's film, through my blog on human rights defenders, and God willing, I hope to be here next year again. And until that beautiful day, I would tell you all, thank you very much, and see you again. Au revoir.
So, thank you very much. We will now take a picture, so I'd like to invite the mayor, Mr. High Commissioner, the members of the jury, the members of the board, and of course, Ana Paula, and the staff of the Martin Ennals Foundation. It would be great if you could all stand up, because the idea is that we're all in the picture. It takes a collective for change, so... Thank you. Now the City of Geneva invites you for a cocktail, and like this we can exchange. Thank you so much.
Trop naturel, j'adore. It is always hard. It's clearly the hardest job. And you're so worried about timing all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I speak longer than I was meant to?
No, you were on time.
I had no sense of time.
I understand.
I'd love a picture of the board. We'll be on the major picture.
Ou c'est par cœur tout le discours? Vraiment? Oui. Je vous donne ma carte. On aura plein d'occasions en fait à l'UNI par-ci par-là. J'aimerais rester en contact en fait avec vous.
Ouais, bien.
Oui.
Volontiers.
On organise la coalition mondiale contre la peine de mort à Paris. Ouais. On fait des événements par-ci à l'ONU. Je préside une coalition d'ONG. On travaille sur les minorités en Iran, la peine de mort. Donc je veux rester en contact avec vous.
Très volontiers.
Vraiment, oui.
Je vous envoie un mail.